Hello, this is Mayor Ed running for New York Mayor in the November 4th, 2025 election. So, Zohran Mamdani is leading in the polls pretty solidly, but it's hard for me to understand why. If you look at his platform, which should be the only reason one would vote for a candidate, his platform makes absolutely no sense, and it's very thin. So one proposal, one of his major proposals, is to have city-run grocery stores and supermarkets, in order to have lower food prices. Now that's really quite ridiculous. City-run or government-run food stores and supermarkets were a total failure in communist countries. And there's no reason why it would not be a total failure in New York. I mean, first it would take a very expensive and big effort to set up a chain of city-run stores and supermarkets. And then where would you get the management? Where would you get the expertise? And why in the world would you think that the prices would be lower than the ones currently at supermarkets and grocery stores? The competition is fierce, and profit margins are slim. So there's no price gouging just because agricultural prices go up for global reasons. It has nothing to do with price gouging or excessive profits. So it would be very costly, and it would be all those stores run by the city would be running at a loss, and that would mean higher taxes in order to subsidize these stores and whatever lower prices they want to charge. So that is really an idiotic idea. He's a socialist, so it's no surprise. After all, the Soviet Union was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and having a government-run grocery stores or supermarkets is a very socialistic idea, and that was the rule under communism. So it didn't work, and it won't work in New York. Number one. Number two, for the housing shortage or the high price of rent that many New York residents are confronting, his proposal is to build many new New York City NYCHA housing. Now everybody knows the NYCHA housings are horrible. Nobody likes living in them, and it would be very expensive, and it would take a lot of time. It would take years to build these new buildings, so that's no immediate solution. There are immediate short-term solutions, or shorter-term solutions, but not that. Furthermore, the federal government is going to be cutting back on any subsidies for Medicare and Medicaid. So New York City cannot embark on very expensive capital spending projects when they have to save the money for healthcare. In the coming years of the Trump administration, New York City is going to have to bear the burden of a lot of healthcare costs for uninsured New York City residents or those who don't have a good coverage. So we can't waste money. The priority has to be healthcare. Then the third proposal, which makes absolutely no sense, which Mamdani has just done, is to eliminate the gifted student programs in New York City public schools. Now, that will drive more and more students away from the public school system and into private schools, because you can't have gifted kids. You can't hold them back. If they're gifted, you have to let them run ahead. So you cannot eliminate the gifted students programs. They have to be encouraged, and the solution is simply make all New York City public schools truly excellent while maintaining the gifted students program. I mean, that's the real problem of New York City. Our public schools are mediocre, and the curriculum is really very deficient. That's why we have so many undereducated New York City residents, and that's why their incomes are low. It's all because they haven't gotten a good education. We need our public schools to be run just like the private schools, with strict discipline, lots of homework and study hall, and a truly enlightened curriculum for this modern world. So those are the solutions. Zohran Mamdani is a demagogue from the left with very simplistic, leftist, socialistic solutions which have never worked any place. Show me one country which has succeeded with socialism. Bernie Sanders likes to bring up the example of Denmark. Denmark doesn't have any government-run supermarkets or grocery stores. Denmark also is completely different from the United States. The composition of the population is completely different. It's very homogeneous. They're all much better educated than average Americans. They can afford government programs that we can't, and so it's not a parallel. Denmark is not a parallel. Bernie Sanders is a socialist. He was a communist. He doesn't understand economics. He doesn't understand how those things work. He's well-intentioned, just like Mamdani, but they don't really know how things work. And it would be 4 lost years in New York City, with more and more, it would be a perpetuation of and a deepening of low incomes and poverty in New York City instead of the opposite. So if we focus, we should be focusing on two things: greatly improving the public schools, our public schools, running them just like the best private schools and with an enlightened curriculum, so that we develop a population of well-educated citizens and residents. That's what we need. That's number one. And number two, since there is unemployment or there are undereducated residents who have a difficult time finding a job in the private sector, so we need to improve New York City as far as its beauty. And when you look at our sidewalks, etc., there's these concrete slabs. I mean, they're ugly. They're incredibly ugly. Most city blocks are depressing. There are hardly any trees, or the low-quality trees. No flower beds around around the trees. We need to beautify New York. So one of the priorities would be creating the New York City Beautification Corps, open to anybody. Everybody who wants a job would get it, and it would be a very satisfying job because you're transforming New York City into a beautiful city every single block by block. So replacing the concrete slabs with those hexagonal tiles that you see on the sidewalk on Fifth Avenue on the side of Central Park. That's much more attractive. You can see that on my Instagram, MayorEdNYC2025 on that site. There are photographs, so we transform the sidewalks, make them beautiful in every single neighborhood. We make Central Park, the Central Park Reservoir, we turn it into a swimming and boating and sailing oasis with lots of restaurants and cafe establishments all around the reservoir. And we multiply swimming pools, beautifully landscaped swimming pools in all our parks, so that increases the quality of life for New Yorkers. And by beautifying New York and making the parks filled with beautiful swimming pools and beautifully landscaped, and with restaurants and cafes, that's going to increase tourism because there's a lot more to do in the summer months in New York for tourists, so they can both see all the culture and all the great architecture we have. Plus, they can go to the parks, and there are beautiful swimming pools, beautifully landscaped swimming pools. So that brings in a lot of tax revenues for the city. It creates a lot of employment for New York City. So we raise people's incomes. The tourism makes the city's economy boom. Incomes will rise. So that is the free market solution for New York City. That's the only one which will work. So far, we really haven't had it. We've never had a mayoral candidate who focused on improving and would know how to greatly improve the New York City public schools. We haven't had that yet. We have no candidate has ever said we have to beautify every single block in New York City. Nobody's ever said that. Nobody's ever said we have to transform the Central Park Reservoir into a swimming, rowboating and sailing oasis with restaurants and cafes. And by the way, all these cafes and stylish cafes and restaurants that we'd have in the parks, they'd be open until midnight. There'd be lots of beautiful lighting in the parks. They'd be very safe. The more people there are walking around in the parks in the evening and when it's dark, the safer it is. And I mean, it totally transforms New York City into a very livable city. No more unemployment. There hardly be any crime when everybody's unemployed. And with the great public schools, within a few years, where we'll be graduating much, much better educated young youths, New York City youths. And they would get much better jobs and better incomes. And as the years go by, everything gets better and better and better because the population becomes more and more educated. And that's the key to economic and social prosperity. So look at my campaign platform, and you can see it on Instagram, and there are videos, and then compare my platform to Mamdani's. Cuomo, I don't think really has anything in his platform. So what the way to judge a candidate is not whether he's backed by any particular party, or whether he has lots of backers spending millions of dollars on ads. That doesn't guarantee that the candidate has a good platform or any good ideas or will be a good mayor. We haven't had one for decades. So the way you judge a candidate is by his or her platform, not by anything else. So when you find a candidate with a platform which makes sense, which is creative, which shows how to grow the economy of New York City and how to make New York City much more beautiful, how to greatly increase tourism, that's the person you have to vote for. So I'll be posting more videos. And in the meantime, I hope you've been interested in what I have to say, and I hope you'll go and go to Instagram and take a look at my platform. There are photographs on how I want to beautify New York City. And so till next time, thanks for listening.